So, the earth is our blue boat home. Do you want it to be a blue boat of happiness? Or do you want it to be a blue boat of sadness and pain and suffering and all those things that you're afraid of? I would rather it be a blue boat of happiness. So today, that's what we're celebrating, our blue boat home. And we're dedicated to making it a blue boat of happiness. We're celebrating Earth Day today. This year was Earth Day's 50th anniversary. Every year we celebrate Earth Day here, Unity on Cape Cod. We have an Earth Day celebration. We're doing the best we can today with the four of us. We're so grateful that all of you are with us by Facebook Live. We're so extremely grateful to join together with you in any way that we can in bringing about a happy trip home on this blue boat. Earth Day was started 50 years ago, 1970, by a brilliant Democratic senator from Wisconsin, Gaylord Nelson. And he was disturbed that an issue so important as our environment was completely ignored by politics and by the media. It wasn't addressed. And so he created something called Earth Day to celebrate at least once a year our beautiful Earth and to tackle environmental issues. Over 20 million people came out that first Earth Day to celebrate, and millions more have joined us ever since. And even though it's been 50 years, when you look around this world, it still looks like we're living in despair and dire circumstances, like worse than ever before. But guess what? We are being called to take care of our earth now. We have to. Our planet, as the song goes, is our blue boat home. And if we do not honor the earth and every one of its inhabitants, it's not going to be a very pleasant ride. How many of you want to be cruising through the galaxy on the blue boat of pain and suffering? That's what I thought. Nobody. How many want to be traveling through the galaxy on the blue boat of happiness? I see your hands going up. Of course. Of course. The answer is clear. Again, that's what I was thinking. Every single person that I've ever talked to in my whole life wants the same thing. We're all in the same boat because we all want happiness. We all are on this earth together. And so we must learn to live together in peace and in happiness. And just like the poem, you didn't think it was possible to stop all the flights and to stay home and to stop your habits of consumption. But it was always possible. We just didn't want to do it. We don't want to look at what our constant consumption is doing to this earth. But now we have no choice. We have to look at the fact that what happens to any of us happens to all of us. All of us are feeling the effects of this global pandemic. But like I said in the beginning of our service, all of us are also feeling the effects of the global awakening. And that's what I think we can focus on. In our prayer chaplain training here, our prayer partner training, we have on the cover of our manual a slogan, a quote that says, "Align your focus with the solution and not with the problem." Because no matter what the problem seems to be, the solution is always the same. Joining in our divinity, joining in our divine nature, in our oneness, and treating one another as if that's all they are, that the light we see is all they are, that the Christ within is all they are, that the God self is all that they are. And when I begin to treat you that way, I experience myself the same way. So we have so much to be grateful for. We have so much that has come back into my consciousness to make me grateful in these times. I've had more time to focus on the people in my life and how wonderful they are and all that we are doing to bring about this global awakening. And I'm so amazingly great, not just grateful, but astounded by the miracle after miracle after miracle that occurs in my life and in your life when you decide for your own awakening. The universe opens up so many doors, door after door after door. And it opens up your consciousness wider, and it makes your love deeper. And I think we're beginning to feel a more mindful living. In metaphysical terms, nature represents the consciousness of the body. How am I treating my body? How am I treating myself and others? That's what is going to be reflected in the nature or the environment around me, because the environment is there as my home. Now, is the earth our blue boat home? Do we see the natural world as something outside of us? Something that should be conquered or managed, or something to be bought and sold? Or is the earth really our sanctuary, our sacred sanctuary? Something infinitely entangled with our soul. Our mother, our source of our physical life. The question to be answered here, when I was thinking about earth and nature, is who are we really? What are we? Where do we fit in the great scheme of things? As Teilhard de Chardin said, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. But if we are spiritual beings, I can see with spiritual eyes this human experience. The Course in Miracles asks me to see God in everything. God is in everything I see. God is in that chair. God is in this table. God is in that microphone. God is in that body. God is in the blade of grass. God is in the grain of sand. God is in the air. God is in the water. And so I need to treat the air, the sand, the water, the body as if it were God. I need to treat it as if it were the most sacred thing that I could ever imagine. Because it is. Because it is. So who are we? Who are we in the great scheme of things here? I want to pick on a friend of mine, Albert Einstein, who said to us that human beings is a part of a whole called by us the universe. Now, it's a part limited in time and space. A human being seems to be limited in time and space. A spiritual being is not. But we'll get back to that. A human being is limited in time and space because he experiences himself, his thoughts, his feelings as something separate from the rest. He experiences himself, his thoughts, his feelings as something separate from the rest. A kind of optical delusion of consciousness. Isn't that incredible? Einstein is teaching A Course in Miracles without even knowing it. It must be a universal curriculum. That's why there are many paths to this truth. Thousands of forms to the universal curriculum. But this is the universal curriculum, that a human being perceiving itself as separate from the whole is in an optical delusion of consciousness. And it's a delusion that is a kind of prison for us. Einstein says that this delusion is a kind of prison for us because it's restricting us to our personal desires and affection for only a few persons nearest us. So our perceptions are limited, our affections are limited to just a few people, and this becomes a prison for us. So our task must be to release ourselves from that prison by one thing: widening the circles of our compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature and its beauty. We are widening the circle of compassion. Do that now. Widen your circle of compassion to include all living creatures, the whole of nature, all of nature and its beauty. We have to widen our circle. That's the only way out of this prison of the optical illusion of separation. I often say that no matter what the problem is, it really is just stemming from that same mistake, that sense of separation from one another, from spirit, from God, and from nature. How separate we have become from our environment, from that which is around us. It's not something to be bought and sold, for it is our very life. We are intrinsically connected to it, to our souls. We are connected to this earth, and we need to treat it that way. This method that Einstein puts forth to widen our circle of compassion, that's our way out. I found the cure to the global pandemic, guys. It's to widen our circle of compassion, to include all living creatures, the whole of nature, and its beauty. It also is our way out of the climate crisis. It also is the way out of our plastic pollution problem. It also is the way out of the mass extinction that we find ourselves in right now, the extinction of plant and animal species, which is occurring because of human activity. Yes, we are faced with some great challenges right now, but I propose to you today that widening our circle of compassion will not only release us from the prison of our own optical delusion of consciousness, but it will release us from all the effects thereof, which include global illness, which include climate crisis, which include our constant pollution of the planet and our constant pollution of our psyche, of our body, of our relationships. We can stop polluting our relationship with one another. Humankind could never have imagined what's going on now, all of these challenges that we face. But we also have the solution within us. And in every way we can, we must widen the circle of our compassion to include everyone and everything, the whole of nature and all of its beauty. Now, I want to give you a definition of compassion. Oh, I'm sorry, I never got the rest of Einstein here. What's going on here, guys? Here we go. Our task, okay, I already said that, is to free ourselves, right? Okay. So, here's my definition of compassion. You want to hear it? You want to know what it is? Yeah. Okay, it's up on the screen for you. Compassion is not merely an expression of empathy or caring for another, but it's a greater joining with the divine nature within them. Can you get that? It's a joining with the divine nature. It's the divine nature of those trees that I see outside. It's the divine nature of the ocean. It's the divine nature of your brothers and sisters. It's the divine nature of the food that you put in your body. It's the divine nature of your environment. So it's not merely empathy or caring for one another after something has gone wrong. It's a greater joining of the divine nature within them, which creates a new vision, a new relationship, and finally a new reality. So that our reality here on earth can be the same as our spiritual reality, can be a reflection of the perfection of God, that can be the manifestation of my world from that pure substance of love, according to divine law, not according to the dictates of the ego, not according to my fear, but according to divine law, we will manifest, and we are manifesting and creating a new vision, a new relationship, and a new reality. I truly believe that's happening, and I'm just asking everyone to get on board with it. That's all. It's an inevitable evolution of our consciousness and an inevitable evolution of our living together on the planet. So let's cooperate with the inevitable and start loving one another in a way that really reflects who we are, that really reflects our divine nature. We're being called each and every day to visualize a world that reflects the laws of God and the inherent goodness within us all. And I don't think that we have another choice. So that's what we're doing in this time when we're asked to stay at home, to keep some distance from one another physically. We can visualize a world that reflects the laws of God. That's what we should be doing now. We need to pay attention. We need to be mindful. Because that inherent goodness is within everyone, and it needs to be drawn out so that we can have a new relationship. It needs to be activated and put into practice so that we can have a new reality. In the end, God's will for you is perfect happiness. And I know you want to be happy because you told me in the beginning of this talk that you want to be happy. So let's widen our circle of compassion. That will give room for us to create more happiness, not just in our lives for ourselves, but for everyone. So be happy, my friends. Be blessed. Be a blessing. And come and see Tim Blessed afterwards at 11:15. And also, I want you to be like water. Go with the flow. Flow with the natural world. Flow with the universe. Flow with the laws of the universe. And all's going to be well. And we will be on that blue boat of happiness. Go with the flow, my friends. I love you.
Thank you, Tony.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass. And visit us online at www.unityoncapecod.org.